Hello, this is Mark Sabatella from Outside Shore Music, home of Mastering MuseScore. In this week's tip, I'm going to show you how to add a mid-measure repeat, meaning a repeat bar line that occurs in the middle of a measure. So, for instance, I have this piece, it's in 3/4 time, there's a pickup, and at that point, I want it to repeat back to the beginning. I don't want this B here to be part of that repeat. I want to repeat right after the G and go all the way back to the beginning to get the pickup. So it'll be like 2 beats of the G, and then that D will be beat 3. So I want my repeat sign right after the G. I don't want it at the end of the measure. If I have selected that measure and come over to the repeats palette or the bar lines palette, either one of them, and add a repeat sign, it shows up at the end of the measure. But that's not what I want here. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to show you how to get that repeat sign between the notes and get it in a way that works for playback. What we're going to do is we're going to split the measure at that point. We're going to split the measure between the G and the B. To do this, I'm going to select the note after the split point, the B, and I'm going to come over to Tools, Measures, and then Split Measure before selected note or rest. That splits the measure. We're in 3/4 time. This used to be one measure of 3 beats. Now it's 2 separate measures. The first measure has 2 beats of G in it. The second measure has 1 beat of B. So we've split the measure. And these measures have fewer beats than the time signature. The time signature is 3/4, but now our partial measures have 2 beats and 1 beat. And that's what these little grayed out minus signs mean. They're just letting you know that these are partial measures. They have fewer beats than the time signature. They're grayed out, they're not going to print or anything, they're just there as a reminder to you. Now that the measure is split, I can select just that first partial measure, come over and add the repeat sign. And if I've done this correctly, then when I play it, it should work as I expect. There's the repeat, and then it goes on. So it's doing exactly what I want. There is, though, one other thing we kind of want to do when we split measures, and that has to do with the measure numbering. Like you'll see that the second system here, this measure is measure 10. Well, the first full measure is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. I really don't want this partial measure to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't want that. I don't want this little B by itself to be a whole separate measure. So what I need to do is exclude it from the count. So the G and the B together are measure 4. Then this will be 5, 6, 7, 8, and the next system will start with measure 9. So I'm going to exclude this little partial measure with the B from the count. I will do that by right-clicking the measure and then going to Measure Properties and checking the option that says Exclude from Measure Count. And when I hit OK, now you'll see that in fact the measure number at the start of the next system is updated now to just say 9 instead of 10. So that is how you can add a mid-measure repeat in MuseScore Studio, and that technique of splitting measures can also be useful if you want to do things like actually put a system break. I can select that first measure and hit enter so that the next part of the measure starts on the next system. That can be especially useful for writing hymns and so forth. So a little bonus tip for you there. So there you have it, mid-measure repeats and the split measure function.